For buttonholes, there's quite a few choices. We can go ahead and use the buttonhole function here depending on the type of fabric that we're working with, and we also have other styles up here in row 1. So when we pick it, when you see the picture of the foot with this little kind of wheel, that is referring to the foot that has the automatic sensor here. So first thing we're going to do is put this foot on and show you how to plug it in. Before I have you plug it in, because you won't see this once it's on. See this wheel, and it has a little white crown. So when I talk about making sure that white crown is even with the line, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be rolling that and looking for it. So let's go ahead, put the foot on. Now we need to plug it in. There is a little spot right up in here. You'll need to kind of dip your head down if you're not familiar, if you don't know what you're feeling for, and peek underneath. Now make sure you give it a good push with your fingers, because if it doesn't go in all the way, when you start sewing this buttonhole, it's going to stitch away from us, and it will just keep going and going and going. We call those runaway buttonholes. So if you don't want one of those, you definitely want to make sure to have that completely plugged in. Now, don't worry about that white crown just yet, because as soon as we move this, see how the wheel kind of moves a little bit? We'll do that right before we are done. Now I'm going to move the camera down here, right down to the point. Do you notice down on this little measuring area, you can set a button next to 0. You see the dotted circle? The circle will indicate how big this button needs a 18 millimeter in length. So when we look at the screen here, it says it just starts at 16. So if we want to increase that to 18, we'll just use the plus button or the arrow up button to change it to the size that we wanted to sew. So all we have to do is know where we're going to start, and we can use the lines on the front of the toe to keep all of our start points the same distance from the edge of our fabric. Once we're there, we can set the red wheel and move that so the white crown is even with the mark. And if you don't, there'll be a little pop-up message that will come up. Once you start, all you have to do is put your hands in your lap, because it's going to do the whole rest of the buttonhole for you. It's going to stitch back with a straight stitch and then come back towards you with a satin stitch. As it does that, then it'll do a straight stitch back again, tack at the top, and then work its way back down to where we started. Once it's there, it will tack at the bottom, lock, and cut, and lift the foot. So you literally don't have to do anything, and when you're done, you have a perfect buttonhole that matches your button. So measure it, put it in, and then set it to know where to start from. So there's a couple different styles of buttonholes. We'll go ahead and change to, say, example 26 is a keyhole buttonhole. We'll just leave it at the pre-programmed 16 millimeter length. But what it'll do is do a little bit more details on the end of this. Another thing you can do is you can use the start-stop button, so you don't even have to hold your foot on the foot control. You can just let the buttonhole form. It'll stop when it's done. Remember, it'll cut, it'll lift the foot. So just hang out and watch your buttonhole form here. It's kind of fun. I always want to hold the fabric. I usually don't with this, but if I had a garment, I'd want to kind of support it a little bit, keep the weight of it off the machine so it's not dragging something really heavy. So we have a keyhole buttonhole. There's other ones. As we look at the machine, let's see here. There's number 24. Now 24 is going to show us a different foot. That is your manual foot, and it also refers to the use of the reverse button. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to unplug and take this foot off. We'll do a quick manual buttonhole also. So we slide this in, same thing, it's going to kind of do, let's go ahead, and a little arrow shows you, by the way, it's going to come away from us, or it's going to stitch away. So as we start to stitch, then we're going to go ahead. Now, this does not have any reference to the start or stop of this buttonhole. So when you want it to tack at the top, or make that the length you want, you're going to touch the reverse button one time. Now the arrows change to be the tack at the top here, and it will start going down the return side or the right side. Now, once again, it doesn't know where we started, so I'm going to stop it by stopping to sew. When I get the two lined up, touch the reverse button again, and I'll show you with the arrows that it's going to do the tack at the bottom and the lock, and there's that cut again. So that's all set up to do. Now this is it's meant to be for a stretch buttonhole, great, so it's not so heavy on the knit fabrics. It kind of makes it not as solid stitching, which is really, really nice. So you've got other buttonholes, for example, 28 is just a straight stitch buttonhole, great for leather. Actually, here, let's just watch. If we pick G for leather or vinyl and then pick buttonhole, it will pick the straight stitch buttonhole for us. There's a jeans one. There's even just a rounded one for both ends. So you can really get in and get exactly what you want it to be for. Now, if you do pick a buttonhole for a stretch fabric, it indicates for a cord. Let's do that really quick. Let's see, here's that one. This one's just the regular foot. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some cord. We'll do a corded buttonhole. So I'm going to just take some cord. There's a little finger on the back side of each of the buttonhole feet, and that is where we're going to set the cord. Once you set it over that little finger, you'll notice that it sits in the little groove, so it will align the cord as needed for the buttonhole. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to slide this in. We'll put the cord on right before I lower it. Hook it over the back little nub. It's going. There we go. And then just hold it with my fingers. Nice, I don't have to lower the presser foot. I can just step on the foot control and start to sew. So it's just going to go ahead and stitch over my cord here. It's kind of just dragging as I go. I'll tell it that's as far as I want. I would have had it marked on my fabric, my start and my end point, so I didn't have to, we're not guessing with buttonholes, that's for sure. Okay, once again, I'm coming close to where we started. And then we'll touch the reverse button to set that last little length, the lock and the cut. Now, watch while this cord is going to be pulled. It's going to get pulled on, just get a hold of one side and pull down. Oh, how about the other side? There we go. Pull it so that part disappears. And then we'll take our scissors and trim really close. You could bury those to the back side if you want. Usually I just trim them. And they're definitely more secure. It also gives you a more raised looking buttonhole and a lot prettier buttonhole when you use some type of cording under the stitching